Oregon is seeing a notable increase in immigrant enforcement and arrests by federal agents. According to the immigrant advocacy group Oregon for All, more than 300 people were arrested in October, including 35 in just one day in Woodburn. So far in November, more than 130 arrests. Victor Cruz of Hillsborough was arrested and spent 3 weeks in ICE detention. He's lived in Oregon for almost 30 years and tells KOIN he is here legally and has a work permit. After his release, he told us ICE agents were looking for another Victor Cruz.
Even though they have the picture and they knew that it wasn't me, still they arrest me.
Just this week, ICE arrested at least 16 immigrants, including farm workers in Salem, reportedly smashing the windows of a van with people headed to work. That happened near where Reyna Lopez grew up. Lopez is Executive Director of PCUN, Oregon's farm workers union. It's one of about 100 immigrant rights organizations comprising Oregon for All. Reyna Lopez, thank you for joining us on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me today, Ken.
First of all, what do you know about the most recent arrests in Salem, near where you grew up?
Well, we're very close to it. I mean, for me, this work is very personal. My parents are immigrants from Mexico. They came here to do farm work in the 80s, and their generation of farm workers was able to get access to citizenship through the bipartisan bills that Republicans and Democrats came together to pass to get a pathway to citizenship for farm workers in the 80s. And today, unfortunately, this new generation of farm workers does not have those same opportunities. Even though they work just as hard as my family, they're doing everything they can to do the best they can in our communities, they are being denied that right. Instead, they're being terrorized by ICE and separated from their families. This is why PCUN actually joined Oregon for All, over 100 organizations that came together to support immigrants and refugees across the state. And a lot of us are doing different things in our local communities. We're rapidly responding, we're providing legal support, we're doing Know Your Rights trainings for the community on their human rights and human rights observations, and also legal support for many of the families who are impacted. But what we're seeing specifically in our community, and you said some of the numbers already, we saw that in October alone, we saw that 300 people were detained. You heard about just this week in my neighborhood, the neighborhood that I grew up in Northeast Salem, that workers were picked up on their way to work. And that has caused a chilling effect in our community. People are afraid to go to school. People are afraid to go to work. Children don't want to leave their parents because they think that when they come home, they're just not going to be there. Many of these families, they came here like mine. They came here looking for a better life. They came here trying to find safety, security, and dignity. And instead, they're being terrorized by our government. These are moms, dads, uncles, aunts, who many of them are the main breadwinners of their families. So it's putting a lot of folks in a bad place.
You talk about breadwinners. PCUN represents farm workers. Let's take a look at some of the numbers here. Yeah. According to the American Immigration Council, more than 30% of agricultural workers in Oregon are immigrants. Immigrants comprise almost 62% of all farm laborers overall in the state. How is this ICE crackdown affecting our agricultural industry?
Significantly. Farm workers are the backbone of the agricultural economy. I've talked to growers that tell me that if they don't have their workers, people won't eat. So we know that this is about our families, but it's also about our local economies. And what I'm seeing is that people are going to work in the morning. They're waking up at the crack of dawn so that they can make ends meet. They can make our harvesting goals every single day here in Oregon. And they're being targeted by masked ICE agents that are not accountable to anybody and that are working outside the law. And for our local communities, this is very devastating. People don't want to go to work. They are impacting our local businesses, and people aren't showing up in the way that they usually do. I think that every single Oregonian, doesn't matter where you stand in this state, you should be concerned about the fact that there are masked agents out there that are not accountable to our communities, that are violent, and that are straight up working outside of the law.
This goes way beyond our farm communities as well.
Absolutely.
Listen to 16-year-old Manny Chavez, who testified before the Hillsborough City Council recently.
I'm scared for my parents to walk out there to walk out their house because I might not be able to say goodbye to them if they go to work.
What do you think when you hear that?
It's heartbreaking. I see myself in him. Many of our members see themselves and their children in Manny, and we know that ICE has been violent, they have been lawless, they have been unaccountable. They have not only been targeting our immigrant community, but even citizens that have been racially profiled by ICE. They have been smashing car windows, they have been smashing into cars. Even folks who are out there practicing their constitutional rights of filming human rights violations have been threatened with arrest when they're doing that. And again, I think that when it comes to our community, our state, Oregonians should be very concerned that there are these masked agents that are not accountable to our communities and terrorizing our communities across the state.
We've reached out to ICE on numerous occasions, and in a statement on the Cruz case, the Victor Cruz case that we started this off with, they told us ICE will continue to arrest illegal aliens who have no right to be in this country. Isn't that what people elected President Trump to do?
I would say that we know that this was never about public safety, because the majority of the people that they are arresting have no crimes at all. Their moms, their dads, their uncles and aunts, they're the head breadwinners for their families, and that's what we are seeing in our communities.
The Oregon Justice Resource Center and the Immigration Law Lab, they're providing legal services and advice to immigrants. What are you doing at PCUN in working with these organizations? And if anybody's watching this that's concerned about it, what can they do to help?
There's a lot that folks can do. One, we are supporting with the PERC hotline. That's a 1-800 number that people can call that can report if there is ICE presence in their community. They can also give to the Oregon Worker Relief Fund. There are a lot of families that are basically in a recession right now because they lost their main breadwinners. And you can make a donation at workerrelief.org. Or you can also connect with one of your local community organizations that's also on the coalition. Everybody's putting in a little bit to be able to have a rapid response network that's statewide. And we definitely need more volunteers. So joining us and getting trained up is a great way to join the cause as well.
You know, as we end this interview, you said that your parents were immigrant farm workers as well. Tell us a little bit about that story and how they got here and what their experience has been like here in Oregon.
Yes, they followed the migration of farm work from Mexico. My dad comes from generations of farmers in Mexico, and in those days, the land basically became unfarmable. So they moved to California. My dad worked in the strawberry fields, and then he heard that there was a union and an organization in Woodburn that was actually doing a lot of work to connect people with jobs in the Christmas tree industry. So that's what brought us here. And during that same time, he was actually undocumented at the time, but there was a big policy that happened, the Immigration Reform and Control Act. And through that, him and my whole entire family, my uncles and aunts that came here to do the Christmas tree work at the time, they were all able to get a pathway to citizenship. And my mom has votes every single year. It really changed the trajectory of our lives. And I really want that for this generation of farm workers. I really want that for people who say, hey, there is no path right now. How can we build that path for people? How can we get a common sense solution that can really prevent what's happening now?
Reyna Lopez from PCUN, thank you very much for being here on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you.